The silence beyond the crew of the Silver Wind moved through space with practiced ease. It was a mid-sized scout ship from the Vanish Union, sent to explore a quiet region near the edge of mapped space. Captain Rolek stood at the window of the command deck, arms folded, watching stars pass by like scattered dust. "Still nothing on long-range scans," said Myra, the young sensor officer. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled just slightly. Captain Rolek nodded. "How far are we from human borders?" "1 light week, maybe less," she answered. The rest of the crew stiffened. The word human made everyone uneasy. The humans had appeared. Just as centuries ago, first contacts were peaceful trades, messages, shared knowledge. But then came the war against the Orvik Empire, and everything changed. No one had expected such violence from such a small, unknown race. But the Orvik fell quickly, completely. Since then, the galactic maps had changed. Now, near Earth's claimed zones, charts were marked with blank spaces and strange warnings, unscannable, silent, unknown. Other ships that entered those spaces didn't return. If they did, they came back with shattered hulls and no living crew. No explanations, only silence. But the Vanish Union needed new trade paths, and if those quiet regions were empty, then they could claim and map them. That was the mission of the Silver Wind. Captain Rolek wasn't afraid of stories. He believed in what he could see and what he could fight. He turned to the crew. "Activate deep scan. Let's clear the myths once and for all." Myra tapped commands. "Scanning ... double quotes nothing ... no radiation, no signals, no signs of planets or ships. Not even cosmic dust. It's like this region doesn't exist," whispered Myra. Rolek frowned. "That's not possible. Something has to be out there." They pushed forward for another 2 days. Each hour felt longer than the last. There was no resistance, no signals, but the silence. It was thick, unnatural. Even the hum of the engines felt distant. "Sir," said Myra, her voice cracking. "I'm picking up something, not a signal. A pattern. It's on the edge of our range. Let's see it." She turned the screen, and strange symbols scrolled across, lines of coded light. Not Vanish, not any known language. Rolek narrowed his eyes. "Try to match it to anything in the database." Myra worked fast. The computer gave a dull beep. "Match found. Human military warning protocol." The entire bridge went quiet. Rolek stepped forward. "Translate." The screen blinked. "Warning. You are entering secured zone. Turn back immediately. Nitrogen monoxide." Further warnings. "Human space bagons here." Rolek didn't move for a moment. "Send a reply. Tell them we are explorers. Peaceful." Myra sent the signal. No reply. Rolek waited. 5 minutes, then 10. Finally, he said, "We'll push just a little further." 10,000 kilometers. No one protested, but unease filled the air. As the ship crossed into the next sector, the lights on the control panel dimmed for a moment. Then something changed on the radar. Then 5. Then 50. Myra gasped. "Ships, so there are warships all around us. We're surrounded." Rolek stared. Where did they come from? There were no signals. Cloaked. Perfectly hidden, Myra said, voice shaking. The screen blinked again. "This is your final warning. Reverse course immediately, or face termination." Rolek felt a chill in his chest. These weren't threats, they were promises. He looked at the crew. "Back us out now, slow and steady." Myra nodded, but her hands hovered nervously over the controls. Then everything went black. Power cut, screens died, gravity failed. They were floating in silence, and then a final message appeared in red across the emergency screen. "You were warned. To be continued. Asterisk. Darkness false." Silver Wind floated in complete silence. No lights, no power, no response from the engines. Inside the dark bridge, the crew floated weightlessly, held only by their emergency suits. Emergency backup systems kept their suits alive for now. Captain Rolek's voice came through the suit comms. "Everyone, check in." Sound off. One by one, the voices came in. Myra, still here. "I think my panel burned out." Jonas, the weapons officer. "Alive. No systems responding." Lena, the engineer. "Main core is offline." "It's not damage. It's like it was shut off from outside." Rolek gritted his teeth. "Externally. Shut down. But how?" There was no sign of an attack. No noise, no heat, no EMP wave. It was like something had reached into their systems and pressed a switch. "I think we're being boarded," whispered Myra suddenly. Rolek's heart jumped. Why do you say that? Because there's movement outside the hole, fast shadows. No sound, but I saw shapes. Jonas floated to the viewport and looked out. She's right. Something's out there. Small crafts, no lights, no markings. Suddenly, a dull thump echoed through the ship. Then another. They were not being ignored anymore. Defensive suits on, Rolek ordered. We don't know if they're hostile, but prepare as if they are. They moved carefully, guiding themselves with wall grips toward the weapons lockers. But even the manual locks refused to open. Lena cursed. All power, including backups, is locked out. Even the mechanical releases. They've taken control, said Rolek quietly. Total control. A moment later, an inner airlock door hissed. Then opened, but no gas, no noise, no pressure shift. Just darkness. From that darkness, a single figure stepped inside. It wasn't a monster. It wasn't a machine. It was a human. Not in armor, not carrying weapons, just wearing a black suit, completely calm. The crew froze. Rolek spoke first. We are not enemies, we're explorers. We didn't mean to trespass. The human looked around slowly, then spoke in a voice that was clear and emotionless. You entered a restricted zone. Your ship ignored the final warning. You've breached human defense space. Rolek tried again. There was no aggression. We only wanted to chart. The human raised a hand. I am not here to argue. I am here to deliver judgment. That word sent cold fear through the room. Jonas snapped. You can't judge us without trial. The human's head tilted slightly. There was a trial. It was held long before you arrived. Humanity decided years ago that any incursion into our border silence zone would be treated as hostile. There are no second chances. Rolek stepped forward slowly. Then why board us? Why talk at all? The human looked at him for a long moment. To deliver one message. One that you can carry back to your union. Rolek's heart pounded. You're letting us go. The human didn't smile. I didn't say that. Silence fell again. The human stepped forward and placed a small device on the central console. The moment it touched the surface, systems flickered back to life. Only enough for one task. A short-range transmission window. The human tapped the device. A message loaded. From this moment forward, all species are warned. Human space is not to be scanned, entered, or crossed. Those who do will vanish without return. There is no war. There is no peace. There is only silence. Rolek stared at the words. This message, the human said, is for your leaders. Your people deliver it if you survive. Jonas snapped. What do you mean if? The lights blinked again and the human vanished. Not walked away. Not ran. Just disappeared. No sound. No trace. Gone. The crew sat in shock. Myra whispered. What? What just happened? Lena tried to scan eye. Don't know. No teleport signal. No breach. Nothing. And then the alarms screamed outside the ship. One by one, the cloaked warships began to reappear. Big black, unnamed weapons pointed at the silver-wined captain. Myra cried, they're charging weapons. Rolek stared at the display. The human had given a chance. One warning. One message. But would they be allowed to leave? He clenched his fists. Get us out of here. Use manual thrusters. Now, outside, the warships didn't move. But they didn't fire yet either. Time was running out. To be continued. Asterisk. The escape attempt. Silverwind groaned as manual thrusters came online. Captain Rolek grabbed the overhead rail and shouted into the suit comms. All hands, brace. Myra, give me minimal thrust, no sudden moves. The ship began to rotate. Slowly, outside the viewports, the human warships remained still, but their weapons stayed locked on target, slow and steady. Myra said quietly. Her hands shook on the manual controls, but she didn't stop. Jonas watched the display. They're tracking every move we make. Lena's voice came over comms. Backup reactors still cold, no shields. If they fire, we're gone. Rolek kept his eyes on the nearest ship. Its dark shape hovered like a shadow cast across the stars. It had no markings, no windows, no life signs. It looked like something built for one purpose, ending threats, distance from human space. Rolek asked, still 2,000 kilometers? Myra replied, we're moving. But it's slow. Suddenly, the ship's lights blinked. Jonas jumped. They're doing something again. No, Lena replied. It's not them. Something's activating in the core. Wait, it's the human's device. It's interfacing with our systems again. Can you stop it? Rolek asked. I don't think I want to, Lena said. It's boosting power to thrusters, only thrusters, not weapons, not comms. Myra's screen lit up. Captain, our route is being auto-plotted. They're giving us a path out? Rolek narrowed his eyes. Or leading us into a trap? Jonas shook his head. If they wanted us dead, they could have done it already. No shields, no power, we'd be space dust. Rolek thought for a moment, then gave a short nod. Follow the path. Let's see where it leads. The silver wind turned slowly, gliding through the cold darkness. As they followed the plotted course, the stars outside shimmered, and then something incredible happened. The warships moved, not to block them but to clear a corridor. One by one, the dark ships opened a path, as if the silver wind were a piece being guided off a deadly board. No signals, no communication, just silent motion. Myra watched with wide eyes. They're escorting us out? Jonas snorted. More like watching us leave. Rolek said nothing. He felt like a bug under a microscope. As the ship passed the final marker in the human zone, the sensors returned. Stars lit up again. Cosmic dust clouds reappeared. It was like walking out of a nightmare. We're outside, Myra confirmed. Back in normal space, Lena's voice cracked with relief. Reactor back online, full control restored. The crew cheered quietly, carefully, as if afraid the humans could still hear. Rolek leaned back. Status. Myra scanned. No pursuit. They're just gone. All of them. Rolek exhaled. Log everything. Every signal, every warning, every second of silence. Jonas crossed his arms. You think the Union will believe this? Rolek turned toward him. They better. Or next time, they won't get a warning. Myra nodded. What do we tell command? Rolek stared out into space, then spoke slowly. We tell them the truth. The stories were real. The blank zones on the map, they're not mistakes. They're warnings. He paused. We stepped into the dark and saw what waits beyond. It's not war. It's not peace. It's something else, Jonas added. And whatever it is, humans control it. Rolek looked at the small device the human had left. It was still embedded in the console, blinking slowly. He had it sealed in a magnetic case. Lena, put this under lock. No scans, no analysis. No one touches it until we're back at base. Yes, sir. The crew grew quiet again. Everyone felt it. They had been spared, but not because they deserved it. Because they had been watched, judged, and then dismissed like insects that wandered too close to fire. Back at Vanish Union Central Command, 2 weeks later, the Silver Winds report caused panic. Some wanted war. Others wanted more scouts, but the Admiral Council issued a quiet decision. Do not enter human silence zones. Do not scan, do not speak, do not even look, but not all factions obeyed. One small empire, young, proud, and blind, refused to believe the stories. They wanted proof, glory, power. They sent a fleet of 8 warships into human space. They didn't return, not a single signal, not a single piece of wreckage, only silence. To be continued. Asterisk. The young empires Pholithi called themselves the Solari Dominion, a proud, rising power from the eastern spiral of the galaxy. Bold, new, and ambitious, they believed in strength, expansion, and conquest. To them, the silence around human space was not a warning, it was a challenge. Councillor Breck, a heavyset male with golden armor and a deep voice, stood before a large crowd in the Solari capital. His words echoed through the chamber. These so-called Deathworlders hide behind fear. They silence space because they fear contact. They leave no bodies because they strike from shadows. This is not power, it is cowardice. Cheers filled the hall. He continued. We will enter their blank zone. We will map it. We will show the galaxy that the Solari Dominion boasts no myth. Later that week, Fleet Hammer 3 was launched. 8 fully armed warships with the latest stealth and shield tech. Every officer on board had experience in battle. They were ready for war. Their orders: penetrate the outer zone of human-claimed space, record ship movements, transmit proof back to Solari Command. They never reached the center. 2 weeks later, Vanish Union Observation Post Captain Rolek stood again on duty, now not as an explorer, but as a watcher. The Vanish Union had quietly built a station just outside the edge of human space. They didn't scan. They didn't move. They just watched. And that's how they saw it, sir. Myra said urgently, standing next to a new console. Multiple Solari signatures detected. 8 warships entered the outer edge of the silent zone. Rolek narrowed his eyes. Did they send a request? No, no comms, no warning. They went in fast, confident. Rolek sighed. Then they won't be coming back. Jonas stood behind them, arms crossed. You think it'll happen again? Like with the Orvak? No, Rolek said softly. Worse, the humans won't make a show of force. They'll erase them like they never existed. The crew watched the screens. Time passed. No alarms. No signs of battle, just blips moving inward. Then, one by one, those blips disappeared. First 1, then 2, then 5. In less than an hour, all 8 were gone. Myra stared in horror. No wreckage. No signals. Nothing. Jonas whispered. It's like the void just swallowed them. Rolek leaned forward. This is what the galaxy needs to understand. The humans aren't at war. They're managing a border. Myra looked at him. What happens when someone pushes deeper? Rolek didn't answer. Far inside human space, in a place beyond mapped stars, where even cosmic radiation seemed dim, something awoke. A long, dark ship moved without sound through the void. It was not on any known registry. No signals. No crew chatter. No heat signatures. But deep within the command deck, a human voice spoke, calm and cold. Another intrusion. Coordinates logged. Another voice responded, a soft female tone. Solari. Dominion. Small fleet. Overconfident. Response. Standard erasure protocol complete. Leave a trace. Oppose no. The galaxy needs time. Let the silence grow heavier. The first voice spoke again. Has the signal from the Silver Wind reached other powers? Yes, fear is spreading. Good. A panel lit up with red dots. More fleets. More watchers. They're learning. The voice said, they're afraid. The woman replied. Another dot blinked onto the display. Prepare Unit 9. A new scout just scanned the edge of Sector Grey 1. Not a breach but close. Should we warn them? No. Let them feel the quiet. Let them wonder. That's how it begins. And with that, the ship faded back into the darkness. Back on the Vanish station, Jonas broke the silence. We should send a message to the Solari government. Warn them their fleet is gone. Rolek nodded. They won't believe us. But we'll send it anyway. Myra asked quietly. Do you think the humans will ever reach out? Ever talk again? Rolek shook his head. They already spoke once, and that was their kindness. He walked to the observation window and looked out into the stars beyond human space. It shimmered like nothing was wrong, but they all knew better. Now, the humans didn't just own the silence, they were the silence, and the galaxy was beginning to listen. To be continued. Asterisk. Messages in the dark Silver Wind had returned to base weeks ago, but the echoes of its mission hadn't faded. Captain Rolek stood before the High Council of the Vanish Union. They sat in a half-circle, old and proud, yet clearly shaken. The chamber was full, not only with leaders, but with silent observers, military, science, trade, all watching. One man, Rolek spoke calmly. You asked for a report. I gave you recordings. You asked for proof. I brought the message. He placed the sealed human device on a raised platform. It glowed faintly, waiting. The high speaker, a thin elder named Laura, stared at it. And you believe we should just leave them alone? Rolek nodded. If you value the Union's survival, yes, another councillor stood. You say they took no action until you crossed a certain line, that they gave a warning, isn't that reasonable? Rolek looked him in the eye. It wasn't mercy, it was measurement. We were weighed, judged, and barely dismissed. Laura leaned forward. Why not attack us? Why not make an example? Rolek answered. They don't need examples, they have silence. The galaxy fills in the fear on its own. Murmurs filled the room. One general, armored and angry, slammed his hand down. This is madness. We are a union of 20 systems. If we let fear of one race freeze us, we become weak. Rolek looked at him. Then be brave, but don't expect to be remembered. A silence followed. Then Laura lifted his hand. You are dismissed, Captain. The council will deliberate. Rolek turned without another word and walked out. He didn't need to hear the vote. It wouldn't matter. The humans wouldn't wait for decisions. They simply watched. Meanwhile, in deep human space, command ship Warden's shadow drifted through silent zones inside. The humans didn't talk much. They didn't need to, everything was run through neural systems and quiet. Data pulses. Old Earth tech had evolved far beyond what the galaxy expected. Commander Elise sat at the center. Unreadable, her second-in-command, a young man named Bran, approached. Another probe tried to scan one of the outer spheres, not from the Solari or Varnin. Elise raised one brow. New player, yes, the Zolari assembly. Never contacted us before. Scan back. Already done. They pulled back immediately. Probably scared. Elise nodded. Good. That's the pattern. Bran hesitated. You think it's time to reveal anything? Just enough to speak, maybe set the rules. Elise didn't answer right away. Then she stood and walked to the black glass wall that showed the star field outside. When Earth first entered the stars, we tried diplomacy, we begged for peace, we were laughed at. Bran nodded. I read the files, then we built weapons. We weren't loud, we weren't proud, but we were final. She turned toward him. Now, they fear our silence more than our words. Let that grow. Let them dream of what we could do, instead of what we have done. Aboard the Zolari probe vessel, edge of silence, zone contact lost, said the technician. The Zolari commander blinked his large grey eyes. Lost. No signal, no error, just gone. Like it hit a wall that doesn't exist. The commander turned toward his science officer. What does your data say? She shook her head. We scanned open space. But now, none of our systems can replay the footage. It's corrupted. No visible reason. A chill went through the crew. Were they watching us? The question hung heavy in the air. No one answered. Back at Varnin, Command Mira walked into Captain Rolek's office with a datapad. You should see this. Rolek took it and scanned the screen. More Solari. No, something else. Quiet changes. Trade routes shifting away from the silent zones. Civilian freighters avoiding even mapped borders. Rolek leaned back in his chair. The galaxy is learning. Not through war. Through fear. Myra hesitated. Is it wrong that I feel safer now, knowing they're out there? That someone is keeping watch? Rolek smiled faintly. Maybe not. Maybe it's how the humans want us to feel. He stood and looked out the window. Beyond the stars, the maps were still incomplete. The borders still blank. But no one dared fill them. The stars had gone quiet there for a reason, and somewhere in that silence, the watchers waited. Fear spreads faster than for the galaxy had not seen a war in over 80 years, but now fear spread through the trade lanes and inner systems, not from battles, not from explosions, but from silence. Ship captains whispered stories of black zones where scanners failed and no return pings ever came back. Station engineers shared rumors of ships that disappeared with full crews and perfect systems vanishing like smoke, and all of those stories had one thing in common. They happened near human space, on a mining colony near the silent border. The colony of Dresdenine was small, dusty, and poor. It mined metal-rich rock from a frozen moon orbiting a dying star. Few cared about it. Until one day, its scanners picked up a shape large, fast, and silent approaching from the unmapped side. The foreman, a heavy-built man named Dane, stood at the tower window as the black shape hovered just outside orbit. No ID, said his assistant nervously. No beacon, just floating. Dane narrowed his eyes. Get a visual. The screen blinked and the colony workers froze. It was a human ship, but not like the ones in their archives. It had no visible weapons, no lights. Just a sleek black body and a silver line across its hull like a scar. It's not doing anything, said the assistant. Dane stared. They don't have to. The colony shut down operations within the hour. No one gave orders. They just stopped. No mining, no launches. All systems went into standby. The ship remained still for another full day. Then it vanished without a trace. Nothing was damaged. Nothing was said. But from that day on, the miners of Dresdenine never drilled near human space again. In a hidden human listening post high above a dead star, a small human platform floated like a speck of dust. Inside, a single woman monitored traffic from across the galaxy. Her name was Lena. She wore no rank, no insignia. Just a headset and a blank expression. A red light blinked. Zolari scout signal detected. She tapped a few commands. A new red dot appeared approaching a quiet sector near the edge. She spoke into her comm. Sector Blue 9. We have an active probe. Class 2 distance. 14,000 kilometers. A calm voice answered from the other end, observed. Response. Lena paused. No aggression, no breach. Just scanning, the voice replied. Then let them wonder. She leaned back, watching the dot. Understood, she had said the same thing 100 times. Let them wonder, because that was the real weapon. Uncertainty. At Vanin's Central Command, Rolik met with 2 senior intelligence officers. One of them held a report. This is spreading faster than we predicted, the officer said. Even planets far from human borders are adjusting routes and rewriting navigation software. Rolik read the files. Good. That means fewer fools will die. But some powers are curious. They're building stronger cloaking devices, smarter probes. They're still testing the limits. Rolik looked up. That's how the next war will begin, not with weapons, but with curiosity. The second officer leaned forward. Captain, do you think humans would ever attack first? Rolik shook his head. No, they don't need to. They wait. You come to them, and they end you. The pause. Then he added, and the worst part is, they think they're doing us a favor. Meanwhile, Inhuman Command Sector Commander Elise reviewed dozens of border incidents, small probes, curious scouts, silent scans. None crossed the red line, said Bran beside her. Do we increase the warning range? Elise didn't answer right away. No, she said. If they get too close, we'll know. And if they don't turn back, she pressed a button. A screen lit up, showing rows of stored footage, entire fleets being erased in seconds. Ships turning to ash without a sound. Then we remind them, Bran asked softly, do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing? Elise gave him a strange look. Do I care? Bran went quiet. She turned away from the screen. They left us to die once, laughed when we begged. Let them feel now what we felt then. That's not revenge. That's justice. Across the galaxy, silence grew louder on trading docks. Maps were redrawn on stations. Routes were reprogrammed. On backwater planets, children were told stories. Past those stars, don't go. That's where the humans live, the quiet ones, the deadly ones, in a galaxy full of noise and greed. The one force that made everyone stop was silence. And those who forgot, they vanished. Asterisk. The one who crossed anyway. Not all listened, not all feared. One man, Commander Valen, of the Carth Dominion, believed fear was weakness. He called the stories lies. He called the blank zones myths. He called the humans cowards hiding behind silence. And so, Valen prepared his personal ship, the Obsidian Flame, a stealth cruiser with unmatched speed. No crew, just him, his pride, and a single mission: cross into human space. Return with proof. No war, no attack, just one voice breaking the silence. Varnan Union monitoring post. Today's Lotte Mira watched her screen as a red dot blipped into view. Captain Rolik, we've got a breach. Rolik moved to her side. Fleet. Mara shook her head. No, just one ship, small, stealthed, heading straight into Zone Great Wealth. Jonas leaned over. It's suicide. Rolik narrowed his eyes. Not if he's trying to make a name. That's the Carth way. The station crew said nothing. They didn't scan, didn't interfere. They just watched and waited. Inside the Obsidian Flame to 4,000 kilometers in. Commander Valen activated his calm. No interference, no contact. They're cowards, just like I said. He passed the outer line. No response. His scanners still worked. His engines ran smoothly. He smirked. Nothing here but shadows. Then, ahead, space shimmered. A black shape appeared. Just one ship, huge, silent, slowly rotating. No markings, no lights. Just a shape that should not exist. Valen stared. So, they are real. He activated his broadcast. This is Commander Valen of the Carth Dominion. I enter this space peacefully. I demand a response. I offer dialogue. No answer. He repeated the message. Nothing. Then, without warning, his controls locked. His screens died. His engines cut. Weightlessness took over, and in the center screen, completely offline, words began to appear. You were told. This silence was not a mistake. It was mercy. Valen's heart pounded. A final message followed. You chose to ignore it. Now you are forgotten. Then total blackness. Back at Varnan Post. 1 hour later, red dot disappeared. Myra whispered, he's gone. Rolik didn't blink. No explosion. None. Wreckage. Nothing. Jonas looked up. Same as before. Gone like a breath. Rolek turned to the crew, log the incident, mark the zone. Update the warning file. He paused. Add this. Commander Valen ignored the silence and became part of it. 3 months later, Galactic broadcast a public message from the Human Neutrality Commission appeared across known space. No faces. No voices, just a black screen and white text. To all civilizations. Human space is sovereign and final. We do not seek war. We do not seek allies, we seek silence. Respect it and live, break it and vanish. This is the last message, there will be no more. There is nothing beyond this. The message played once, then never again. Decades later, in a galactic history class, a young student raised his hand. Teacher, why is human space still marked as unknown? The teacher, a grey-scaled elder, nodded. Because it is, but haven't we tried to enter it? No, the teacher said, many did, long ago. None returned. Then how do we know they still live? The teacher smiled gently, because the silence remains, and that was enough. Final scene. Deep in human territory, a massive station floated around a dying star. Inside, thousands of humans worked in silence. No news reports, no diplomacy, no panic. Just calm. They watched, they listened, they waited. And one by one, the galaxy learned, you don't invade human space, you don't test their patience, because beyond human space, the stars go silent, and those who forget pay in blood. The end. Asterisk.